was with my son watching the New York Yankees in 1998.
Bruce Springsteen was married to a beautiful actress in 1985, but 3 years later, Italian paparazzi captured him in his underwear on a hotel balcony with another woman. That woman was his backup singer. The photos went worldwide, and the marriage ended in a $16 million divorce. But that wasn't the only scandal. In 2009, another affair accusation hit the courts, this time involving a gym, a heart surgery, and a woman who looked exactly like his wife. Today, we're uncovering the affair that destroyed his marriage and the secrets he finally confessed in his own memoir. Bruce Springsteen was born on September 23, 1949, in Long Branch, New Jersey. His full name was Bruce Frederick Joseph Springsteen. His father, Douglas, worked on and off as a bus driver and factory worker, but most of the time he didn't have a job. His mother, Adele, worked as a legal secretary and carried the whole family on her shoulders. They were Irish and Italian Catholics, living in a working-class neighborhood, and the pressure around them was heavy. In that small community, Bruce saw things that stayed with him forever. He saw uncles and cousins who were so broken by life that they pulled out their own hair, screamed at family gatherings, or dropped out of school and never came out of the house again. The pain around him was so visible, and even as a child, he started to absorb it. Their house on Randolph Street was falling apart. It had just one kerosene stove to heat everything. On winter mornings, Bruce could see his own breath when he woke up. They lived with his grandparents, Fred and Alice, who couldn't take care of themselves anymore. It was dirty, cramped, and always freezing upstairs. When Bruce turned 6, they moved to a place at 3912 Institute Street. It still had no hot water upstairs. The walls were peeling, the fixtures were broken, and they barely had space. After his sister Pamela was born, it felt even more crowded. They couldn't always pay the rent and had to keep moving. Bruce said later, "We were pretty near poor." Those early memories shaped the songs he would later write about struggling families and small-town life. His father's mental health made things even harder. Douglas was never diagnosed back then, but he showed signs of schizophrenia. He was quiet, angry, and always on edge. He never said, "I love you," to Bruce. When Bruce said it, the most his father could reply was, "Me too." He drank a lot at local bars and sat in silence at home. He couldn't hold a job, and his mood swings scared everyone. Bruce was just a kid, but he felt like an outsider in his own home. Later in life, Douglas was finally diagnosed with schizophrenia, and Bruce understood what had been haunting their home. He himself now takes medication to manage his mental health and keep from falling into the same darkness. School didn't feel safe either. Bruce went to St. Rose of Lima Catholic School. The nuns hit his knuckles with rulers and yanked his tie until he choked. One day, he made a small mistake while serving Mass, and a priest humiliated him in front of everyone. Afterward, one kind nun gave him a holy medal in secret, and Bruce never forgot it. But the damage was done. He drew a picture of Jesus on a guitar, not a cross, and from that point on, religion started to lose its grip on him. That strict, punishing environment turned him away from organized faith, though spiritual themes would always echo in his music. Everything changed for Bruce on September 9, 1958. He was 9 years old when he saw Elvis Presley on The Ed Sullivan Show. That performance felt like an explosion inside him. It was the first time he saw light, excitement, and escape. He begged his mom for a guitar. She rented one for $60, even though the family could barely afford it. Bruce's hands were too small, the lessons were boring, and the kids made fun of him. He couldn't play the chords. The guitar went back to the store in a few weeks, but Bruce had already tasted something. He gave a small concert in his backyard for a few neighborhood kids. Even though they laughed, Bruce felt something that stuck with him. It was just the beginning. Then came February 9th, 1964. Bruce, now 14, saw the Beatles on The Ed Sullivan Show, along with 73 million other people. That night, everything changed. He called it the big bang of my musical life. The very next day, Adele took him to Western Auto, and they bought a guitar for $18.95. It was cheap and basic, but it became the start of everything. Bruce soon played his first shows at a trailer park on Route 34, and then at the Elks Lodge. For his 16th birthday, his mom took out a loan and bought him a $60 Kent guitar. Later, Bruce wrote a song called The Wish to thank her. At 16, Bruce joined a band called the Castiles. He met George Thies at Freehold High School who brought him in as lead guitarist. They practiced in drummer Bart Haynes's house. They wore matching clothes and performed at places like Cafe Wah in Greenwich Village. But not everyone liked them. Some people in town said their music was the devil's work. The band recorded 2 original songs in Brick Township and played anywhere they could. On October 22nd, 1967, tragedy hit. Bart Haynes died in Vietnam while serving with the Marines. The band broke up a year later after one last show in Red Bank. In 1967, Bruce was 17 when he got into a serious motorcycle crash. He was thrown 20 feet and badly injured. He had a concussion and had to stay in the hospital for a long time. While recovering, he started writing songs. The pain pushed him into music deeper than ever before. Later, this accident would save him from the draft when he was labeled unfit for military service. But at home, his father hated his long hair and his music. Still, Bruce kept writing. That crash marked the moment he went from copying songs to creating his own. Then came the hardest part. In 1969, Bruce was 19 when his parents decided to move to California for work, but they didn't take Bruce. They left him behind in New Jersey and took his younger sister Pamela with them. Bruce wasn't ready. He had no money, no plan, and nowhere to go. He squatted in abandoned houses around Freehold and Asbury Park, playing in small bands and surviving off the kindness of others. He was homeless for nearly 2 years. That experience of being left behind burned into him, and he later poured it into songs about broken homes and small-town struggle. In 1970, Bruce formed a new band called Steel Mill with Danny Federici, Vinnie Lopez, and Steven Van Zandt. They played at colleges, and their shows were wild, especially during anti-war protests. After the Kent State shootings on May 4th, 1970, they played a song called Where Was Jesus in Ohio? Their concert at Monmouth University drew 4,000 fans who waited for hours in the rain. A critic from San Francisco said Steel Mill was the best thing to happen to Asbury Park since 1934. Their music was loud, emotional, and raw. They didn't act like stars. They hung out with the crowd before and after shows. By 1971, Bruce was still unknown, struggling to break through. That's when Carl "Tinker" West introduced him to Mike Appel, a manager. At first, Appel told Bruce to come back with better songs. When Bruce returned in March 1972, Appel signed him and got him an audition with John Hammond from Columbia Records on May 2nd, 1972. Bruce was 22. He didn't even own a guitar and had to borrow one with a cracked neck. He played Growing Up, It's Hard to Be a Saint in the City, If I Was the Priest, and Mary Queen of Arkansas. Hammond listened, then said, "You've got to be on Columbia Records." A few weeks later, Bruce met with Clive Davis and got signed. Bruce formed the E Street Band that same year. It included Clarence Clemens on saxophone, Gary Talent on bass, Danny Federici on keys, David Sanchez on keys, and Vinnie Lopez on drums. Their shows ran for 3 hours and left the audience breathless. The band name came from where they practiced, E Street in Belmar, New Jersey. Some say they got the name because they'd wait outside for David Sanchez to show up. Bruce said they were just tossing around names and E Street Band had a nice sound. The name stuck, but it wasn't official until 1974. By then, Sanchez and Lopez had left, and Roy Bittan and Max Weinberg joined. Bruce recorded his first album, Greetings from Asbury Park, NJ, in 1972. He fought hard to get the full band on the album. The label wanted just his solo songs. In the end, 5 band songs and 5 solo songs made the cut. Clive Davis listened to the finished album on August 10th and said it needed a hit. Bruce rushed to write Blinded by the Light and Spirit in the Night, recording them on September 11th. Some band members weren't available, so they used whoever was around. Columbia finally approved the album. Touring wasn't easy. In 1973, Bruce opened for Chicago across 14 shows and got booed off the stage at the Philadelphia Spectrum on June 6th. The crowd didn't want him. He kept singing anyway and flipped the middle finger at them. His set was cut to 30 minutes. It was the only time he was ever booed on stage. Other cities weren't any better. Even Columbia Records execs walked out during his shows. Bruce kept playing. Then, something happened. On May 9th, 1974, at a theater in Harvard Square, Bruce opened for Bonnie Raitt. John Landau, a music critic, was there. He watched Bruce play for 2 hours. A few weeks later, Landau wrote in The Real Paper, "I saw rock and roll future, and its name is Bruce Springsteen." He said Bruce made him feel like he was hearing music for the first time. That review changed everything. Bruce went from being a nobody to rock's next big thing. Landau would become his co-producer and manager. Their partnership would last more than 45 years. In January 1974, Bruce Springsteen started working on an album that nearly destroyed him. Born to Run was supposed to be his big chance, but he became so obsessed with making it perfect that it nearly collapsed under its own weight. He spent 18 months recording it. Just the title track took 6 months alone. He left 914 Sound Studios behind and moved into the record plant in Manhattan, where the costs exploded. Bruce worked from 3 in the afternoon until 6 the next morning almost every day, pushing himself and everyone around him. Engineer Jimmy Iovine said it was out of control. Band members said they barely ate or slept. Bruce was chasing a sound he heard in his head, a giant crashing wall like Phil Spector's. Every second of music was built over and over again. A single line might take hours, a single arrangement might take days, and every hour they were bleeding money. But when the album finally came out on August 25th, 1975, everything changed. Born to Run exploded. It reached number 3 on the Billboard chart and sold 700,000 copies by the end of that year. It was the album that took him from small venues to the global stage. The single Born to Run peaked at number 23, but it never really left the airwaves after that. His first 2 albums hadn't sold well outside New Jersey, but now both Time and Newsweek put him on the cover in the same week. By 2022, it had sold over 7 million copies in the US and 3 million more worldwide. That album didn't just make Bruce a star, it made him a myth. But just a year later, in July 1976, that myth almost came crashing down. Bruce filed a lawsuit against his manager Mike Appel, accusing him of fraud and betrayal. Appel struck back 2 days later and got a court order on September 15th that stopped Bruce from entering any Columbia recording studio. He couldn't record at all. At the height of his fame, he was completely blocked from making new music. For 10 long months, Bruce battled in court. One day, he stood on a table shouting that no amount of money could replace the songs he was losing. Meanwhile, John Landau, the producer who believed in Bruce's future, was gaining more control, and Appel was fighting back to keep what he had built. Even with all the fame, Bruce was broke. Legal bills were draining everything. People who saw him at the Stone Pony in New Jersey said he once had to dig in his pockets just to pay a $2 cover charge. To survive, Bruce and the band played benefit shows through 1976 and early 1977. He poured out his frustration on stage. In one show, he smashed his guitar in anger. He wrote over 80 songs during this period, but none of them could be officially recorded. These lost songs later became part of The Promise. The concerts kept him and the band going. It was survival, not art. The legal battle finally ended on May 28, 1977. Bruce had to pay Appel $800,000 in cash. Appel kept half the publishing rights for Bruce's first 25 songs. His share of production royalties dropped from 6% to 2%. It was a painful price, but Bruce was finally free. He started recording Darkness on the Edge of Town right away. By May 23, 1978, he was back on stage. That tour ran 115 shows and ended on New Year's Day, 1979. He talked about his father. He dove into the crowd. He played like a man finally unchained. Writer Dave Marsh said those shows set a new standard, even higher than Bob Dylan in 1966. Then came The River in 1980, and it shocked everyone. Not just because it was 2 discs with 20 songs, but because it sold 1.6 million copies before Christmas. Bruce had recorded over 56 songs and refused to cut it down to one album like Columbia wanted. He said it had to tell the full story. Hungry Heart reached number 5 and sold 5 million copies on its own. The tour lasted 14 months with 140 shows. He often played for 3.5 hours straight, wearing himself and the crowd out every single night. But in 1984, things got stranger. President Ronald Reagan, during a speech on September 19th, praised Bruce Springsteen as a symbol of American pride, without realizing that Born in the USA was actually about a Vietnam veteran being abandoned by his country. Reagan's team hadn't even listened to the lyrics. Bruce was stunned. On stage, he joked about it. He said, "I got to wondering what his favorite album must have been. I don't think it was Nebraska." At one show, he added, "It's not morning in Pittsburgh," mocking Reagan's campaign slogan. The song kept selling. The album had already hit 7.5 million sales by mid-1985. The tour that followed pushed everyone to the edge. Over 156 shows in 15 months. It made $80 to $90 million. But on June 8, 1985, at Sweden's Ullevi Stadium, something surreal happened. The crowd was jumping so hard during Twist and Shout that the entire stadium cracked. Concrete split. The building had to be closed for 2 weeks. Bruce was collapsing from exhaustion behind the scenes. After years of bodybuilding, he didn't just sound strong, he looked it. At Pittsburgh's Three Rivers Stadium on August 11, 1985, over 65,900 fans showed up. Sound systems were so advanced, they needed 8 rows of delay speakers just to reach the back. In May 1985, Bruce shocked the world again by marrying actress Julianne Phillips, 11 years younger than him. But by 1988, everything was unraveling. On June 15th, paparazzi caught Bruce in his underwear on a hotel balcony with bandmate Patty Cialfa. 2 days later, Julianne confirmed the separation. She filed for divorce on August 30th, and it was finalized in March 1989. Bruce later said he handled it terribly. He still cared for Julianne, but admitted he failed her. By October 1987, he released Tunnel of Love, and fans were stunned. The songs were raw and deeply personal. The tour in 1988 had strange theatrical setups, sexually charged duets with Patty, and no more spontaneity. Popular hits were dropped. The vibe had changed. And after that tour, Bruce quietly disbanded the E Street Band. They wouldn't play full shows together for 11 years. In 1992, Bruce released Human Touch and Lucky Town on the same day, March 31st. He used session musicians like Randy Jackson and Jeff Porcaro. The album sold well, but it felt distant. Critics said he was trying to connect but sounded lost. He spent 25 sessions making it, but couldn't find what he was looking for. Then, in 1995, he changed everything again. He released The Ghost of Tom Joad on November 21st, a quiet acoustic album with stories about poverty, immigration, and suffering. Inspired by Steinbeck and Woody Guthrie, Bruce wrote it alone at home. The album barely reached number 11, but it won a Grammy and turned him into a protest singer again. Youngstown talked about steel towns dying. Rage Against the Machine later covered the title track in 2000. In 1999, the E Street Band returned. The reunion tour was unforgettable. It stretched into 2000. Bruce played long sets with surprise deep cuts, rare songs, and emotional energy. At the Meadowlands, they sold out 15 shows in a row. The chemistry was still there, and now it felt even stronger. In 2002, Bruce dropped The Rising, a response to 9/11 that hit people hard. Released on July 30th, it sold 555,000 copies in the first week. It was his first #1 album since 1987. It won 2 Grammys and eventually sold over 2.1 million copies in the U.S. The title track became a tribute to grief and survival. Bruce didn't try to be political, he just told the truth, and it worked. But behind the scenes, Bruce was still fighting something darker: depression. It had started around 1981. By age 32, he was in therapy. He admitted he had suicidal thoughts. Between ages 60 to 62, he felt completely crushed. He said it was like all his past selves were fighting for the steering wheel, but therapy saved him. And in 1993, he wrote Streets of Philadelphia, which helped him process his pain. It won the Oscar for Best Original Song in 1994, his longest top 40 run since Dancing in the Dark. In 2004, Bruce shocked his conservative fans by endorsing John Kerry. The Vote for Change tour raised $10 million. Fans boycotted him, but Bruce didn't flinch. Even though Kerry lost, Bruce had become something more: an artist with a voice beyond music. Then in 2007, Magic stirred controversy. Released on September 25th, it slammed the Iraq War and sold 335,000 copies in week 1. Conservative media pushed back hard. Clear Channel Radio reportedly stopped playing his new songs, calling him anti-American. But fans kept buying. By 2009, it had sold over 1 million. At Obama's inauguration concert on January 18, 2009, Bruce stood at the Lincoln Memorial with Pete Seeger and sang "This Land Is Your Land" in front of 400,000 people. He added the original verses about inequality and private property. It wasn't just a song, it was a moment, and Bruce had become the keeper of Guthrie's message. In 2013, Bruce faced another scare. Neck surgery almost cost him his voice. Surgeons tied his vocal cords aside while repairing discs. He couldn't sing for 3 months. He lost feeling in his hand. But in 2012, before the surgery, he had already released Wrecking Ball, an album about recession, greed, and survival. The title song became a cry for everyone who had lost something, and even as recently as 2023, he faced more pain, this time from a peptic ulcer so severe it forced him to postpone more shows. In 1988, Bruce Springsteen was one of the biggest music stars in the world. His Tunnel of Love Express tour made $50 million, but the real drama wasn't just the music, it was what happened on stage with his backup singer Patti Cialfa. Fans didn't know it at first, but the sparks between them weren't acting. On May 3rd, during a concert, Bruce squeezed a wet sponge down his pants while locking eyes with Patti. The crowd was stunned, but Bruce and Patti were already deep into a real-life affair. That affair had started months earlier in September 1987. Even though Bruce had been married to actress Julianne Phillips since 1985, Julianne had even joined him on tour at first. She'd dance on stage and smile for cameras. But by May 1988, fans began to notice Bruce wasn't wearing his wedding ring anymore. At the Madison Square Garden shows, people started whispering. Something had changed. The press picked it up fast. On June 9th, USA Today asked, "Is Bruce on the loose?" Days later, the world got the answer. On June 14th and 15th, Italian paparazzi caught Bruce and Patti on a hotel balcony in Rome. They were in their underwear, holding each other, then sharing a drink on the same deck chair. The pictures went everywhere. The Italian papers said, "There are no doubts. Patti and Bruce really love each other." What made this worse was the timing. Bruce and Julianne had just spent their May 13th wedding anniversary apart. By August 30th, Julianne filed for divorce. The petition was only one page. She simply said the marriage had irreconcilable differences. Behind the scenes, Bruce told her everything. In his 2016 memoir, he said he handled it abysmally. He admitted he was jealous and paranoid, thinking Julianne only married him to help her career. But deep down, he knew she loved him. That didn't stop the pain. Bruce was worth $27 million at the time, and under California law, Julianne was entitled to half of whatever they earned during the marriage. By December 1988, just 4 months later, they reached a settlement worth around $16 million. It was fast, it was private, and it included a no-talk rule. Julianne never spoke publicly about the affair or the divorce again. Even though Bruce didn't say a word to the press, tabloids exploded. The man who stood for working-class values was suddenly the star of a real-life soap opera. Fans called it the divorce tour. Every concert felt like people were watching a relationship fall apart in real time. Patti had joined the E Street Band in 1984. They had been friends for years, but by 1987, everything had shifted. Their performances weren't just music, they were messages. They were signs of what was happening behind the curtain. Then, in 2009, another scandal hit. A man named Arthur Kelly claimed Bruce was having an affair with his wife, Ann Kelly. She was a 45-year-old woman from Red Bank, New Jersey. Bruce had met her at a gym called the Atlantic Club. According to court papers, Bruce told her she had the nicest ass in the gym and would stand behind her treadmill. Arthur said they went on lunch dates with her kids and talked about Bruce during their marriage counseling. He also said the affair continued while he was hospitalized for heart surgery. He lived in a $600,000 house, and his wife looked so much like Patti that people called her a dead ringer. A witness even claimed to see them kissing in a parking lot. The day before Arthur filed for divorce, Ann admitted her relationship with Bruce was inappropriate. Bruce denied everything. In a 2006 statement, he had already said his commitment to Patti was as strong as the day we were married. He stood by that. Bruce and Patti had married on June 8, 1991. Their first child, Evan, was born July 25, 1990, even before the wedding. Their daughter, Jessica, followed on December 30, 1991. Then Samuel on January 5, 1994. Bruce said Patty helped him through some of the darkest times in his life. His father had struggled with mental illness. Bruce started therapy at 32 during the Nebraska album days when he said he had a full breakdown. He later learned his dad was bipolar and schizophrenic. His father never told him he loved him. Bruce spent years in therapy, facing those traumas. That's where songs like My Father's House came from. He said becoming a father helped push him further into healing. Patty knew the real Bruce, the broken Bruce. That's what made their relationship different. After Julianne filed for divorce, Bruce and Patty moved in together almost immediately, first in New Jersey, then New York City, and later Los Angeles. By the time they got married, they had already built a life. Patty had even briefly dated Tom Cruise before returning to Bruce. The world saw them as a scandal, but behind the scenes, they were starting a family that would last more than 30 years. In 2022, their son Sam made them grandparents. His daughter, Lily Harper, was born on July 17th. Bruce's career kept going, but so did the struggles. In 2019, he released Western Stars, an album about aging, loneliness, and death. It sold over 1 million copies. The songs were haunting. One track, Stones, had the line, "I woke up this morning with stones in my mouth. Those are only the lies you've told me." The album came with a documentary where Bruce opened up about everything: his past, his fears, and his future. It was a side of him fans hadn't seen. Then came the health crisis. In 2023, Bruce had to cancel his entire tour. Doctors said he had peptic ulcer disease. The pain was unbearable. Nausea, bleeding, fear. At age 74, he was forced to stop. By May 2024, just when fans thought he might return, he had to cancel more shows in Europe. This time, it was his voice. He canceled concerts in Marseille, Prague, and 2 shows in Milan. In an interview, he said the scariest part wasn't just the pain. It was the thought he might never sing again. He said, "This is one of the things I love doing most, and at that moment, I was unable to." Even with everything going on, scandals, health issues, therapy, Bruce kept moving forward. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1999. He sold over 140 million records worldwide. In 2016, President Obama gave him the Presidential Medal of Freedom. In 2023, President Biden gave him the National Medal of Arts. Through it all, Bruce became more than a musician. He became a mirror for the American story. In his memoir, Bruce didn't hide. He confessed. He said he had been emotionally stunted and secretly unavailable. He blamed himself for hurting Julianne. He admitted he failed her, but he also explained why he had drifted toward Patty. She knew every version of him, on stage and off. She had watched him fall apart and helped him put himself back together.